The statistics are grim. Religion is in a rapid decline. Faith is waning. For many of those who enjoy the benefits of a spiritual life, it is a cause for great concern. What kind of world will the younger generations inherit, and how will they face it if they have no hope in something greater than themselves? Young children are being raised by parents who were themselves never taught about faith, prayer, meditation, or spirituality, and therefore they have nothing of that to pass on to them. For some of you watching this video, you just heard an accurate description of some members of your family, and you're worried. You may be feeling helpless. You wish you could do something about it, but what? Today, we will review works by Carol Ann Rice and Bradley Jersak, the separate authors of 2 children's books that could encourage young children to develop their own personal spirituality and prayer life. Because if there is any hope of bringing civilization back from the brink of a secular dystopia, it will be the youngest generations who will eventually turn the tide, and not because of a temporary return to a borderline coercive imposition of dogmatic religion, but rather as a grassroots revival of strong traditional, moral, and spiritual values born of personally knowing their truth, having confirmed by life experience, independently of formal religious instruction, that they work. Carol Ann Rice is the author of Solomon Snail Goes to the Beach, the third in the beloved Solomon the Snail series of children's books, published on the 6th of February, 2021. The titular character, Solomon, is a wise snail renowned, like the biblical King Solomon, for his wisdom. He is known as the one you can go to when you have a problem or two. In all 3 books in the series, Solomon tells his friends, and the readers of the books, that the source of his inspiration, the voice of the wisdom he imparts, is none other than the voice of love, and that anyone can learn to speak to and listen to this voice by quiet meditation, reflection, and by lifting the mind to that mighty, wondrous voice, asking that inner guide for help, and trusting in how that voice answers, for love cannot steer you wrong. Young children can learn patience, politeness, courage, how to overcome shyness, and how to confront a bully with love, standing up for himself or herself without giving in to anger and hate. All this with no explicit mention of any specific religion's deity by name, so these books are perfect for those who are looking for gifts to give to a young child in their family but want to avoid the unwanted appearance of proselytizing for some religion. Bradley Jersak is the author of Children Can You Hear Me?, which is a 4 kids adaptation of his first book, Can You Hear Me? Can You Hear Me? Is much more text-heavy, sparse on illustrations, clocking in at nearly 300 pages from cover to cover, while Children Can You Hear Me? Is less than 70 pages, nearly half of which are full-page illustrations. Dr. Jersak, an Eastern Orthodox theologian and seminar speaker based in Abbotsford, British Columbia, is also the author of A More Christ-Like God, A More Beautiful Gospel, Kiss the Leper, and Her Gates Will Never Be Shut, Hope, Hell, and the New Jerusalem. Children Can You Hear Me? And Solomon Snail Goes to the Beach are both easy reads with a comparable number of words, so they can be read in a single sitting or divided into multiple sittings. They are both delightfully illustrated in a way that makes the words come to life. The most important differences between any of the 3 books in Carol Ann Rice's Solomon the Snail series and Jersak's Children Can You Hear Me? Are they are aimed at different age groups. Jersak's book is for school-age children in the lower grades, while the Solomon the Snail series is aimed at younger children, some of whom would not be old enough for some of the ideas and illustrations in Jersak's book. Jersak's book is non-fiction, a how-to book of sorts, while the Solomon Snail books are stories and can be approached as stories. Even adults who read the Solomon Snail books to their kids and grandkids find themselves just as drawn into the story. And finally, while Jersak's book is aiming at a specifically Christian readership, explicitly invoking God and Jesus in a classically orthodox way that identifies Jesus as God, Carol Ann Rice's Solomon Snail series can be enjoyed by readers of any religion or none. While Jerzak's book goes into a little more detail about how and where one may encounter God, not just at formal prayer, at church, but taking a walk in a park, a garden, or in nature, daydreaming, imagining, reading the Bible, the ongoing theme is the context of friendship with God. Now let's compare that with some of the ways that Carol Ann Rice weaves prayer seamlessly into the narrative of her stories, while almost never even mentioning the words God or prayer or anything like them.
He would go inside his house he carried on his back to ask this mighty and wondrous voice of love where he should travel to bring the gifts he had to give to everyone he would meet. Snails move ever so slowly, always thinking as they go to be sure to watch for stumbling stones or holes along the way. Ditches are scary to snails, you know, so watch out for trouble, is what snails would say. On that day when he went inside his house, upon his back, he went inside a secret place to talk to the mighty wondrous voice of love and asked what he should do. So mighty wondrous voice of love said, "Go down the road to meet Mrs. Ladybug Dot, as she is called. She has something for you to do." So off he went, ever so slowly, to meet with Mrs. Ladybug Dot, who had a problem or two. After Ladybug Dot flew away, Milton was all alone. He sat up in the pond, looking up at the sky, and called on the mighty wondrous voice of love. "Oh, mighty wondrous voice of love, can you help me? I'm not sure if you are here, but I'm asking just the same," said Milton. And he continued to ask, "I don't know how, and this is the best that I can do. You know what is in my heart. I'm sad and I'm angry too. Please, I need an answer from you. Sometimes I can't help it, but I think the only one that can help me now is you. I know this much, all right. If you want me to change, then you need to answer me quick, because I miss all my friends, especially my friend the snake called Lance." Milton became very still, and then Big Bill had thanked Solomon before flying back to the beach, saying, "You have already helped me more than you can ever know. I will ask mighty wondrous voice of love to be my friend." After saying that, the pelican spread his wings and took off, flying through the puffy white clouds and the clear blue sky above them, asking the mighty wondrous voice of love to be his friend.
To sum up, we see that although vocal prayer, combined with stillness and silence, is emphasized, it is not the only way to converse with the mighty, wondrous voice of love, as with a friend, for Big Bill the pelican does it while he flies. But there is another way to hear the voice of love that the author mentions, namely, just by being inspired and motivated by love to be good to someone, to do them a good turn, or even to merely verbally encourage that person with kind words. In the dedication to the first book in the series, The Song of Solomon the Snail, we read, "So, in this series, love and loving other people is inherently prayerful, and not just a way to express something to the God who is love, but to hear his voice, which means anyone can hear God, and just about everyone does, whether they realize it or not, and whether they even acknowledge it or not."